If a magician is not in control of his or her mind, then you are not in control of your magic. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back or welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, this is my channel Pixie Dust and Spirit Alchemy, where we talk about all sorts of things magical, spiritual, mystical, occult, esoteric, supernatural, stuff like that. Guys, today's video I will be sharing my experience using the LBRP, otherwise known as the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, every day for a little bit over a month, and how that affected me, what the benefits were, why I used it in the first place, as well as a little bit of just history into this ritual, its origins, and what it's used for. So let's get started. So now if you're into the occult at all, it's very likely that you've come across this ritual or you've heard of this ritual because it is one of the best known rituals in the occult world among modern occultists. It was formed in the late Victorian era by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, by the creators of that order. And for those that don't know, the Golden Dawn is a magical order that originated in London in 1888. I myself am not a member of the Golden Dawn, but I do know some people who are. Not that that really matters, but a lot of the ceremonial magic that I do practice and do apply to my life originates from there or is practiced in there as far as I know. And a lot of the Gallery of Magic rituals are also used or come from the Golden Dawn. Some of just their methods and such, which is something that I will be discussing in another video upcoming. But a little bit of just more background on the LBRP is that it was exposed to neophytes of the Golden Dawn, like new initiates, when they were being initiated, so that after their initiation, they would begin to use this and learn how to essentially deal with opposing forces and begin to learn how to communicate and deal with the spiritual and invisible world, or invisible and spiritual things. And it was, and still probably is, recommended as a cleansing ritual preceding any magical operations or magical rituals. And that is its overall use, what it is mostly used for, and what I used it for. Now, there are two versions of the LRP, which are Lesser Ritual Pentagram rituals, I guess. There's the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and then the Lesser Invoking Ritual of the Pentagram. I myself only have experience practicing the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and it is noted that the LBRP is most effective when used at night, like before bed. So you're banishing all this sort of dirty energy before bedtime, you know, and then in the morning you're invoking the same energy into you and kind of throughout the day, and both serve as a means of protection. So the main purposes of this ritual: to protect against like unclean magnetic forces, like I said, as well as to rid of like obsessive and intrusive thoughts, and to prepare a space, you know, and your own energy for any sort of ceremonial magic practices or anything, because it tends to be the case that new magicians, or just magicians in general, are sort of illuminated highly in the astral realm, meaning that they become visible to all sorts of spiritual forces, you know, of different energies. And it's easy for anyone to attract parasitic energies or dark energies or unclean energies. It's easy for anyone to attract those, but it's not as easy for anyone to get rid of them. So it is important to know, especially when dealing with ceremonial magic or, you know, messing with the spirit world in general, it is important to know how to cleanse yourself, to cleanse your spiritual body, to cleanse your astral body, so that when you are illuminated in the astral realm, you're not attracting things that you don't want to attract, that are going to be detrimental to your overall operation physically and spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. So my experience using this, I use it from time to time still. I don't use it every day, daily. I only used it, as I said before, every day for a little bit over a month. And I could definitely see results. I mean, it is one of the best known practices, the best known rituals because it works. I mean, and it is one of the first things that people are taught, because if you're going to be dabbling in the metaphysical or in the world of energy and spirits, you need to know how to cleanse yourself, how to protect yourself and the space around you and the energy that you are exuding. So, why did I use this in the first place? I will say that I was practicing magic for years before I ever started to use this. So I probably just skipped over one of the most important things that as an occultist you should know. I did use some other protection magic. It wasn't like I wasn't protecting myself, but this is the first thing that initiates in the Golden Dawn learn, or one of the first things, for a reason. And there was a time where I was heavily practicing magic and heavily dabbling in the spirit world, in 2022 when I began practicing my mediumship. And I was essentially dealing with a person at the time, a good friend of mine at the time, who I believe that we ended up together attracting energies that were unwanted, essentially. Not anything that was necessarily dangerous to us, but things that were not in our highest good, not in our highest alignment. And for me personally, what that resulted in over time, and this not protecting myself over time, resulted in more obsessive and intrusive thoughts. Before doing this ritual, it really, and it wasn't just anxiety. It wasn't just like, because I have experience with anxiety. I've dealt with that before. I still deal with it from time to time. It wasn't just anxiety. It wasn't OCD. I mean, it kind of felt like it sometimes. But it was truly, intrusive energies, because of being so illuminated in the magical and spiritual world and not protecting myself accordingly or appropriately. And now I'm very diligent and adamant about doing so. If I'm ever doing magic or dealing with any sort of thing in whether it's mediumship or whatever, it's very important to just be aware and be mindful and work with a professional, especially if you're doing, if you're new to mediumship or like an Akashic Records reader or a channeler. It's important to learn from somebody who's experienced and a professional, because they know how to not attract these darker or negative energies. So essentially, my reason for using it was because I was at a time where there were other circumstances happening that were already just kind of bizarre and crazy, and I won't really go into. But my state of mind was, it felt like it was almost being invaded a little bit. And I didn't really have the words for that at the time. It just felt like I was constantly anxious and couldn't really think straight, and that I was like always falling behind on things, like letting things slip through the cracks. And it wasn't until a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who is also in the occult, pointed out that this is what was happening and what the cause was and what I should do to protect myself or to cleanse myself. So I will say too that in addition to using the LBRP, I had done magical protection before, the Master Protection Ritual. So, which, if anyone is familiar with that book, the Master Protection Ritual is a 33-day long ritual. And it serves the same purpose, or a similar purpose, of just protecting one's energy. Which I will also be doing a magical protection podcast with one of my good friends in the near future, and I'm super excited about that because he's very knowledgeable and very wise, and I love to hear everything that he says about it. And so stay tuned for that, up and coming. Not sure when it will be yet, but hopefully in the next month or so. And so at this time, I had been doing a lot of magic, And so it was brought to my attention to do this ritual, as well as the middle pillar ritual, which is another thing, another form of protection, and sword banishings, just essentially protect myself energetically. And so I learned the LBRP, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and I did it every day for let's say let's say 33 days. I don't know the exact number, but it was over a month. And essentially, as time went on, I began to feel more in control of my thoughts again, and if a magician is not in control of his or her mind, then you are not in control of your magic. And so it is important to have that control of your mind and of your emotions to have effective magic and to actually be able to manifest what you were trying to manifest and what you desire. So, as time went on throughout doing this ritual, I began to essentially take my power back. I did it, I believe I did it every night or every evening. I was working night at the time, so I would do it before I would go to work. And I could see results or feel results more so immediately after doing it, like the first time after doing it. It was almost like a shield, like an energetic shield was put around me. I just felt blocked. Like it was almost as though like anything that was trying to invade my space or my energy before was rebounding or recoiling against this shield, sort of this force field that I had put up around myself. And so every day that I was doing this ritual, that just got stronger and stronger. And at the same time, I eventually started doing more magic again. And it not only helped my state of mind and to clear these obsessive and intrusive thoughts and this disorganization and anxiety, but it also helped to make my other magic that I was doing more focused and more powerful because I had taken back my power. And anything that was unclean or dirty or yeah, just lower vibrational energies was not affecting me anymore. So it really unleashed this side of me that I hadn't quite yet seen as a magician in full capacity. I had done, like I said, I had done other magical protection rituals and such before, but after doing this so consistently for over a month, it was like I gained this confidence in dealing with magical energies and with magnetic energies in the spirit world and the invisible things that we deal with as occultists and as magicians. And it really streamlined my focus and streamlined my thoughts. My thoughts were so much clearer. I felt more in the flow of my natural vibration, the natural rhythm of my life at the time. And life on the outside also became more synchronistic. I was recognizing more positive synchronicities manifesting as opposed to perhaps maybe more negative synchronicities that had been happening prior to doing this ritual. So overall, it cleared up whatever unclean energy was around me at the time. And it cleaned the space and sort of protected the space that I was using at the time to also do magic. And so I really did experience the power of this ritual, of this magic, and recognized the importance of it and why it's taught, why it's the first thing that the Neophytes of the Golden Dawn will learn before dabbling beyond that into the spirit world, because the spirit world it's obviously like it's a real place, right? And just like the physical world, there are lower vibrational creatures or not everything or everyone in the spirit world has our best intentions in mind and is there to help us. That's what we want to attract. We want to attract the right things, the things that are here to help us and help us shape and bend our reality that we want. But that's not always what we get when we don't know how to call it. So overall, my experience with this ritual was very profound and it was very transformative, and it is not definitely not the last time that I will be using it ever again. I know that other people, those that do magic daily, use this ritual daily, perhaps for years. You know, I mean, the amount of time that I used it was really short in the grand scheme of things, you know, but it did help me to overcome and get past whatever I was dealing with energetically at that time. So that is my experience with it. I just wanted to share in case this would be helpful to anyone, in case anyone wasn't familiar with it, in case you were, in case you have a similar experience, or any experience of your own. So thank you guys again for taking the time to watch this video. If you made it all the way through, it would mean a lot if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So guys, as always, stay kind, stay curious, and until next time, peace.